Okay, well, here we are in what is now the town of Albin. And from what my research tells me, this is what was left after Thomas the Sixth Lord Fairfax came and basically told my great-grandfather, William Bruce, that no, sorry, pal, this land belongs to me. It was given to me by the king. And so when my grandfather, William Bruce, attempted to retain the land, what he was left with was 178 acres. Basically, so this is the land that he raised his children on. This is what he retained, and so it basically starts from that building right there, which is an old, now looks to be an abandoned fruit stand. As you can see, that giant apple on top. If you go out to the left there and follow that road down, there's a main road, and on the corner of that main road is what I believe is where they relocated to because they put in a turnpike. So this is kind of off the beaten path now, but just to kind of give you a feel for it. So it runs from the fruit stand there, and just beautiful. You see this beautiful old gate here and wall. There's a gate that comes across and hooks up right there over here, and the wall goes all the way down. I could just imagine what this was like in its heyday. Of course, these buildings were built long after my grandfather was here. But just to kind of give you a feel for the land that he cultivated and raised his family and his 5 sons. And the city, the town, small as it is, basically just runs down the length of this road that we're walking on here. Thought it'd be fun to document it. I try to imagine what it was like before all these houses were built on it. Now this road that we're walking on here, my grandfather was summoned to the courts, the Frederick County Court, in 1746. And he was essentially forced to pay for this road, believe it or not. Even going way back then. This is back when we were still a colony, or when Virginia was still a colony before the Revolution. And he and 2 brothers, Joseph Perrell and his brother, I forget his brother's name, but the 2 Perrell brothers, who also lived in this area, they were essentially summoned to the court, the Frederick County Court, and were forced to install this road and pay for this road by order of the court and Lord Fairfax himself. So that was one of the reasons that my grandfather had such a bug up his ass when it came to the crown. It was just one of many examples of why the colonists were fed up with the British crown. They were taxed to death. And really it was the Stamp Act, which was repealed in 1766, the same year my grandfather died at the age of 66. He was born in Ireland in 1700, but not long after that was obviously when the revolution started. But it was about that same time that the Sons of Liberty and other such groups that were really considered rebels at the time started to gather and discuss the future of this nation in New York and Boston. Look at that. I mean, if that's not a beautiful sight to wake up to in the morning, I don't know what is. It's the rolling hills of Virginia here. It's just green and beautiful, and I try real hard to imagine what life must have been like for them back then, living in log cabins that they built themselves with their own hands. Really pretty magnificent. I mean, just look at that. Again, that, for as far as the eye can see, when my grandfather first settled this land, was all his. He would hunt and trap these mountains. Grew tobacco and other such crops. Alfalfa. This is actually a horse farm here. And you can see that house has been there for a while. And again, the same type of stone walls here. And that stone wall goes back a ways. I wonder how old it is. It's you can see the barn back yonder. It's just really peaceful here. The trees are magnificent everywhere you look. Just beautiful. Now, there are conflicting reports about how my grandfather got here and when. Some show him arriving as soon as early as 1728, 29. Others that purport that he didn't arrive here till 1744, which I know isn't true because he was already dealing with land issues with Lord Fairfax before that time. And some of the reports say that he came here with two cousins Others say that he actually came here alone, made his way across the country from Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, down through Old Baltimore before they relocated it. Over to Havre de Grace, Maryland, where there was an island trading post. A lot of hunters and trappers did business there, amongst other things. Yeah, but I kind of lean towards the notion that he came here alone because his cousins, well, first of all, they weren't very well documented, but from what I gather, he wasn't really close to them because when he came here, they had already lived here for a while, and they weren't really close. And he had his sisters. He had a sister and a brother, actually. And they stayed in Pennsylvania, from what I can gather from the records. And this is really where it ends, at this intersection right here. And so you're on Briarley Road, going all the way back down to where we first started. But that stretch here, according to the records, again, this road was basically, my grandfather was ordered to build it right through, or right along the edge of his land. And so the land on both sides was his, but this is more at the edge of the land. As you work your way in that direction over here, there's actually, beyond these houses, there's a small ridge, a mountain range that runs across there, and his land would have butted right up to that 178 acres that he retained from Lord Fairfax after having to try to fight for what he had already cultivated for many years before Lord Fairfax showed up and said, "Oh, nope, it's mine." But hey, that's life. That's the way it goes. And actually, so he was William Bruce Albin was the first non-Native American Indian to settle on this land, which I suspect is why they named the town after him after he died. I did have 5 sons, all of whom did serve under Washington in the Revolution, and one of whom was actually one of George Washington's personal bodyguards. He was a member of the General's Guard, which is essentially the first, what you might call the first Secret Service, if you will. They were tasked with guarding Washington from the British during the Revolution and ensuring his safety. And so that was George Albin, which was William Bruce's, I want to say it was his 4th son. So he had John, he had Robert, he had William, George, and James. Of course, William Jr. the third son. John and Robert were both named after his father and his father-in-law, whose name was John Robert Bruce, ironically. So John Robert Bruce, whose daughter Mary Elizabeth Bruce, who was born in Scotland. That's my grandfather, William Bruce Albin, married John Robert Bruce's daughter. And this is where they settled. And that's it for today.